Again, let me say this. You'll catch me repeating it now for the second time so that you won't miss this point. The same-sex marriage debate is not about homosexuality or human rights. It is about the definition of marriage. And according to the Bible, real marriage is a covenantal relationship between a male and a female exclusively united as one in body, soul, and purpose as a husband and a wife. That was designed by God with His purpose in mind of us being able to glorify Him. So here's the bottom line, folks. God knows what's best. God knows what He's doing. Amen? God knows what He's doing. And here's what I find so interesting. Even secular society, even the social sciences of the world affirm that God's design of marriage is best. It's amazing. When you read the research of the world, all will admit that God's design has wisdom. The Christian definition of marriage works best for everybody. But yet we're trying to change it. Our society is literally looking at redefining marriage. Let me tell you what's going to happen if we redefine marriage. Let me give you some repercussions of redefinition. Number one, redefining marriage will eventually do away with real marriage. It'll do away with real marriage altogether. Dr. John Carvina is the chair of the philosophy department at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. And Dr. Carvina, who is, by the way, a leading spokesman nationally for the gay movement and gay rights, Dr. Carvina defines marriage as an emotional bond between you and your, as he calls it, number one person. That should be the definition of marriage, according to Dr. Carvina. That it's simply an emotional bond. Now, let's be honest. If marriage is merely an emotional bond, then there is no reason whatsoever that marriage ever should be considered permanent. It doesn't take a doctor or a scientist to know that our emotions are not permanent. Amen? They change. And our emotional feelings toward each other change a lot. And if marriage is based merely upon emotions, we should never vow to be married till death do us part. We would be lying at the altar. It also should not be ever considered to be sexually exclusive. If it's simply an emotional bond, now folks, we've got to be honest. If it's an emotional bond, we should not expect it to be sexually exclusive in marriage. Because our emotions, the Bible speaks very candidly about it, very openly about it, that in our heart is sin. In our heart we have lust for. It's even written in the Ten Commandments to not lust after your neighbor's wife. God knows that's where we're going to go. He knows that's our emotions. And if we redefine marriage as merely an emotional bond, don't expect marriages to be monogamous anymore. Don't expect them to be oriented toward family life or what's best for kids. Again, if the basis of marriage is about you and your feelings, if the basis of marriage is merely the most self-centered emotion that we have, then marriage will never be about what's best for children. Never again. In 2012, last year, the New York Magazine published an article making a case that gay couples are simply wanting economic equality and social destigmatization. Okay, that makes sense. It sounds reasonable. They simply want economic equality and social destigmatization. Here's what you got to realize. In that article in the New York Magazine, the article was written about as an interview not of a couple, but what they literally called a throuple. It was a romantic triad. It was three people living together, wanting that relationship, what they called a throuple, to be considered married. Because those three had an emotional bond. Robin Sinks is the health education specialist right here at the Long Beach Unified School District in California. She said that the legislation of same-sex marriage would require a comprehensive change in our language. Here's what she said, and I quote. She says, we're talking about really refraining from using things like husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend. Those kind of things we're just going to quit using, and now we're going to use the word partner. End quote. And now we're seeing that they're getting ready to print marriage licenses, a marriage license, and it will speak of a union of partner A with partner B. No longer will we use the terms husband and wife in our language and society anymore. If you use that term, you would seem bigoted. So I'm telling you, friend, this issue, it's not just about gay rights or the homosexual. No, it's about the definition of marriage. It is at stake. Everything that we know of in society surrounding husbands and wives and marriage and parents, it's all on the table to be removed.